You record. All right. So you guys, you're in for such a treat. Thank you so much to Shane for saying yes to this. So Shane and I know each other from our Tuesdays with Jerry. We're on a VP call with Jerry Rosenthal. He's a trainer, a coach. He's amazing. And so I have gotten to know Shane a little bit through that. And when I was thinking about this, Shane, like the two words that I would use to describe you would be integrity and love, because everything that she does, it is so much integrity to it. I mean, I was just telling my team before this call, I was like, she even had to call me out once, but she did it with so much love that I was like, thank you so much. Remember, like I posted it before and after, I shouldn't have. And I just kind of remember that. And she was like, hey, friend, so nice. And I mean, like, I respected that and loved that because she was looking out for me and she didn't have to look out for me. And so I wanted to introduce her and then just give the rest of the time to Shane, because I just know, I was thinking, who's the most positive person I know that I could ask to do this call tonight for y'all? Yay. So lucky. Okay. So Shane is an ENVP. She lives in Chester, New Hampshire. Baby of 10 kids. I did not know that. Married mom of 2 amazing human girls and 2 fur baby boys. And y'all should see them. They're big, beautiful dogs. And not the girls, the dogs.
No, that's my husband, the big, beautiful dog.
She married her junior high sweetheart and soulmate, and she's earned numerous AIT trips and challenges, but most proud of the person that she is growing into and the ripple effect her yes to this business has created and will continue to create. So I'm going to mute and just hand it over to you. And thank you. Thank you for doing this.
You are so welcome. Hello, my beautiful friend and all my new friends. It's so nice to be with you guys tonight. I'm sure as she's talking about my dogs, you will see 1 or 2 of them go behind me. Hopefully they will not have an argument over a sock or a sports bra, or they like to, one is a klepto. His hashtag on Instagram is Groot the Klepto. They're Rocket and Groot, the Guardians of the Galaxy, if I have any Marvel heroes. And when you were saying, you were thinking 2 words to describe me. I'm sorry, you guys. I have an irritating cough that I've had for a couple of years. It's a tickle and very irritating. I was thinking she was going to say like snarky, spicy, fresh. So I'm glad that you chose nice words. And I pray to God that this stops. I wish it would just stop being so irritating. So anyway, you guys, I'm so excited to be here with you tonight. I want you to know, before I get on a call, I always ask God, like, what is it that I should be sharing? What about my experiences, what I've been blessed to have had go through experience in Arbonne would bless these people tonight. And I was asking my daughter, and it was funny because what she said, Polly, she said, talk to them about like integrity. Talk to them about, yeah, she did. She said, talk to them about values and integrity and how important that is, right? But I always kind of like to give you a little bit of a background. And the reason is because I remember, I don't know where all of you are in your business, right? I don't know where I'm catching you. I could be catching you on a mountain right now. I might be catching you in a valley. I want you to know I've been on both numerous times, sometimes multiple in the same day. Anybody ever been there? Like, oh, this business is awesome. I love my team. And then you get one text from somebody that's being a jerk. You're like, I hate people. What the heck? Why am I in a people business? I just want to get an office job, work behind a computer and deal with dogs all day, right? Like we go through that sometimes, but when I really look back and I think about what this journey brings to your life, after being in this company for 17 and a half, almost 18 years, it'll be 18 years in August. Why I say I'm most proud, I'm not proud of, I'm not saying that in an arrogant way. I'm really proud of the journey. And I'm really proud of accepting challenges over and over and over again. And I'm going to tell you a couple words that I really would love for you to learn to exchange. So remind me if I forget after I tell my story. But one of them is hard. Everybody's like, oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. And I don't like to discount people's feelings. I would never want to do that. But sometimes I think we're really kind of dramatic, right? And I'm like, is it really that hard? Because I'm sure you have experienced real hard in your life, like actual real hard, right? I know that I have. When we lose a family member, I've lost a brother. My mother to cancer. My mother's going through stage 4 cancer right now. We've lost, my sister had a stillborn baby. Like, I'm not saying these things to be sad. Those things are really hard. Those are heavy things. This business really isn't hard. It challenges us. So I'd love if we just start this conversation tonight with you making a mindset shift that from now on, whenever something happens in your business, instead of saying, oh, it's so hard, you say, wow, this is challenging. And you know what I always say to myself? And I'm a champion, and I'm going to eat challenge for breakfast. Right? And I'll say it to my kids, and they're like, you are so weird, Mom. You're 51 and you act like a 5-year-old. I don't care. Whenever I'm feeling wicked challenged, I'm like, here it comes. I'm going to eat it up. I'm going to lean into the learning. I beg you, lean into the learning. Whenever there's a challenge that's presented to us, I know that that means I can run from it, or I can lean into it, learn from it, and level up. Arbonne's like a video game. It's a video game combined with dating, right? There's so many principles I teach my team about in Arbonne that is just like dating. Like when you meet somebody, don't give them everything on the first date, because then they don't have to see you like that. That's the same with Arbonne. It's the same with dating. And then the video game, like we're only here to level up. We only win when we get to that next level. All right, so I'm going to back up and I'm going to tell you how I was introduced to Arbonne. So like Polly said, I'm a baby of 10, 8 boys, 2 girls, and I'm the baby by quite a lot. So I'm almost like I'm an only child between my parents. They both had kids, then got together and had me. So that sounds like, wow, this is big, happy Partridge family. No. It was more like a bridge over waters, right? I always say we put the funk back in dysfunction. Because when you put 9 kids together that weren't even all blood related under a house, and almost all of them were teenagers, it was chaos. Okay, it was crazy, like just absolute crazy. And I was the baby in all of that. And so I grew up with an unusual, right? Like an unusual situation, whatever. And as I get older, I decided it was time to get a job. At 15, I went to work at a Burger King to make some extra money, because before that, I babysat for all my siblings. And guess what? Siblings don't pay their little sisters to babysit. Just telling you, they always say they're going to, and then somehow they forget, right? After you watch the kids for hours. I got a job at Burger King. I was going to make big bucks. And I hated it. I lasted 2 weeks, and I came home to my mom and I said, listen, would you do me like, could we please talk about my future? If I go to hairdressing school while I'm in high school, when I go to college, I can do hair and work in a salon, and I'll be independent while I'm in college. And she's like, oh, that's a really good idea. And so for 2.5 hours every day, I would go in to get my hours for hairdressing. Guys, it's 1,500 hours, 2.5 hours at a time. All right. What I didn't realize back then was that was teaching me stick to and tenacity. That was teaching me to play the long game, that not everything is instant gratification. 2.5 years, right? So I graduated, and instead of going to college, I had fallen in love with hairdressing. Anybody ever have that happen? Like you have one plan, and then, you're planning on zigging, and then something comes your way and you zag. So I ended up falling in love with hairdressing, going into that industry. And after a couple of years of working for other people, I realized I really am too bossy to have a boss. Like, I just don't like having a boss, right? I don't have to tell you what to do. I just don't want anybody telling me what to do. And so at 23 years old, I opened my own salon, and I was self-employed ever since. Okay. Absolutely loved it, you guys. I loved doing hair. I loved my clients. But then at 27, I had baby number 1. And all of a sudden, everything changed, right? And so I learned to like tighten the belt, tighten the hours, work later at night when my husband was home so that I was at home during the day, he was at home at night with my babies. And then Saturday I would work. I'm not kidding. I'd go in at like 8 in the morning and work till 1 or 2 the next morning. Because I figured if I did like a 16, 18-hour day, that counts for a couple work days. I can be home more with my babies. Okay, great. And then baby number 2 came, and then it was time for school, and they went to school. And I started hating being away from them. Guys, when we had kids, like we had kids because we wanted to go in 110%. And so at that point, I was really, really getting miserable, really getting miserable. And I was at a sweet friend's house. Now, you young people, do not be laughing at me, okay? You under 40s, I'm warning you now. I was at a friend's house and we were scrapbooking, okay? Like cutting photos, cutting paper, putting on stickers, like living large. I was like the bad girl who brought the Mike's High limeades. All right, this was our wild mom's night out, and I'm telling you, it was a coincidence because I never went. I had pretty much given up all Shane's identity to be business owner and mom, and that's all there was of me at that point. So at this night out, I was complaining about my adult acne. See, I had gorgeous skin my whole life until pregnancy number 1. And then I just had a face full of cystic acne. Nothing was working. And I told you I was in the beauty industry. Not so cute. Okay, number 1. But I was exposed to what I thought was all the best products in the world. So I was spending, this is 20 years ago, you guys. I was spending like $350 for a wash, tone, and moisturizer. That was my cost. Okay, that was my cost, and it didn't work. Like it wasn't working at all. Then I switched to all organic products because people were like, oh, try organic. Okay, great. I went to all organic products. You had to keep them in the fridge. Like the dog loved licking my face. You could lick my face, but it did nothing for my acne. So I sat there at that scrapbooking night complaining, and this very sweet woman walked over. I want you to pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, because if you just heard this, it could change your business. She walked over to me and she said, I heard what you were saying, and I really think this could help. And she handed me a sample of our skincare. I could stop talking now. You want to talk about a servant. I'm emotional 18 years later thinking about it, because she could have just sat there and listened to me complain. She could have sat there and thought about herself and her own inhibitions, right? I was kind of the more talkative one, bringing the booze. She was the church goer. Her name's freaking Angelica. I'm not kidding you. She is like literally like an angel from God. She's the sweetest woman ever. She could have sat there thinking about herself the whole time and never, ever approached me. But when she did, what she did is she said to me, I heard you. I heard you, and I'm here. Because God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth so we could listen twice as much as we speak, right? And when she gave me that sample, I remember you guys thinking, oh, dear God, there's no way this is ever going to work, but she's so sweet, I'm going to have to try it. So it's really helpful when you're likable, right? I'm just saying, like, she didn't come in that night and was a whiner, a complainer, and a grumbler. She is like sweeter than pie. Like, she is one of those people that literally everybody I now introduce my mother to, my mother will go, oh yeah, she was really nice, but not so nice as Angelica. I'm like, Mom, would you stop it with the Angelica thing? Okay. Like, she's walk on water girl to my mother. She's just that kind and that sweet. So think about what she did. How many times do we sit thinking about our own inhibitions instead of thinking I could help this person? As she had no clue that I would go on to be an ENVP and bring in an ENVP who brings in an ENVP. She had no clue. She just was helping somebody. So I took that sample and I went home and I promptly forgot to use it. I'm not kidding you. And she followed up not once, not twice, but 3 times before I finally tried it. And when I finally did, I loved it. And do you think I called her? Of course I didn't. And you know why? Arbonne wasn't my priority. I was drowning in life. I was drowning. How many people have you handed out samples to and you're wondering why they haven't called you back? Because they're drowning in their life. I was consumed with Shane Devlin and her kids and her dogs and her parents, right? And so she followed up a fourth time. And she's like, I'm just wondering, every single time she would say to me, hey, did you get to try the sample yet? And I'd say, oh, Angelica, I keep forgetting. And she'd go, that's totally okay. Do you mind if I call you in another week? Could you say no to that? I couldn't. She was pleasantly persistent because you guys, that's what professionals do. Doctors are supposed to follow up after a visit. So are we, because we're professionals. Let's stop playing like cute little home business people. I'm sorry, I'm going to get on a soapbox for half a second here because I've been that cute little home business person, and it cheapened my business and it cheapened our industry. If we want to be seen as professionals like doctors and lawyers, then we better start behaving like them. And she did. So the fourth time I said, I said, oh my gosh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. She said, great. We have a special. I don't remember what the hell the special was. I don't even remember. Maybe it was an Arbonne special. Maybe it wasn't. And so I signed up, ordered a bunch of products, and like there was some great discount. I called my sister-in-law, we all chipped in, placed a big order. And then she followed up again and invited me over to her house to hear a little bit more about Arbonne and what it could do for me and my family. She's like, well, if you love this, you might want to look at maybe selling the products. So I went over and I remember, I will never forget where I was sitting. I will never forget the feeling, right? I don't remember what she said, but I'll never forget the feeling as she flipped through a flip chart. She used a tool. Remember to use a tool, because when you use a tool, that tells the person, I can do what you're doing. If she memorized everything, I go, oh, isn't she amazing? And I never would have thought I could do this. I just remember her doing the flip chart and me leaving her house that night, like my mind leaving her dining room table and thinking, what would that top level do for my family? It would make sure I can take care of my parents, because even though I'm the baby, I knew they're my parents and I'm going to end up with them, right? Everybody else is old. Like everybody else is going to be getting old by the time my parents are old. It's up to me. I knew I wanted to be the one because I had such awesome, just amazing parents, and I wanted to be able to be that person for them. And that top income would do it. I knew I didn't want to sweat it anymore. When somebody said bills, and my stomach would turn, right? Help people see what this business can do for them. Because we don't know. At that point, I could have cared less about recognition. I couldn't even imagine the trips. I didn't care about a title, but I did care about not losing sleep at night paying my bills. And so you guys, from there, she followed up, did her job, invited me to meetings. And I would love to tell you I was an overnight success, but that was not going to be my story. Because if they see, there were 3 different skills that I really had to learn and develop in my life. And I did it through hairdressing and through this business. Number 1, I learned that I love people. And when I love people, I love them hard. And my team always jokes, she'll hump your leg like a dog. Like when I love you, that's the kind of love you're going to get. That's why when I saw that, Polly, I forgot about that, but I immediately panicked. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want Polly to get in trouble. I don't want, right? When you love somebody, it was uncomfortable reaching out to her. I thought she could really get upset. She could tell me to go mind my business. She could tell me to take a long jump off a short bridge, right? Like she could tell me a million things. I don't know, but I got to try, because what if she got in trouble and I didn't say something, right? Love people. Loving people means loving all of them, the good, the bad, the ugly. And this business, it's going to challenge you, because people, they're going to get ugly. I get ugly. I don't know about you guys. I get grumpy sometimes. I get snippy sometimes, right? We all have it in us, but learn to really love your people. Number 2, I'm not afraid to work hard. Guys, that wasn't a skill that I had. Like that was not a skill I had when I started working at Burger King. I learned it through hairdressing because I loved what I was doing. And my professor, I guess you would call her, my instructor, she used to praise what she wanted to see grow in me. And I remember for the first time being good at things that like I wasn't an athlete, any of those things. And I remember her praising things that she felt I had a gift for. And I was like, oh, that felt really good. And then she started praising my work ethic, and that felt really good. So I learned to become a really hard worker. Praise your team, praise them for what you want to see grow, praise what you want to see grow in your kids. Side note, don't tell your kids they're so smart. Carol Dweck, the book Mindset, she says that's one of the worst things we do to our kids. Don't praise that they're so smart. They can't control if they're born smart. Praise how hard they work. Praise the effort that you can control. And that's what I can control with my team. I never praise my team and say, oh, you're wicked naturally smart. I'll always say to them, wow, I love how resourceful you are. I love how gritty you are. I love how you dig down, right? Praise the things that they can control. And then the third skill I built is I don't quit. And that one I did come about a little bit more naturally. My dad used to say to me when I was little, Shani, my family calls me Shani, Shani, you're like a dog with a bone. You just don't quit. I don't think he meant that flattering, but it ended up being a skill and a gift in this business. And so I want you to really think, how can you start developing those 3 skills? Because I think they will really, really help you. And then the other couple that I just kind of jotted down was taking ownership. I think, it is very easy as humans, and I've watched this with so many people in my personal life and my business life. They were either blaming, or justifying, or we're growing. And so every time I'll get a message that says, well, I didn't know da 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 da, I'm like, okay, that's all right that you didn't know, but whose job is that? Right? Whose job is that? I can tell you guys, honestly, when I started this business, it never occurred to me where my upline was going. As a matter of fact, I did not go to our first GTC after I signed up because I did not think good moms did that. I had a lot of personal growth to do, you guys, a lot. So the next year I decided that I was going to go, and I called Angelica to tell her. And when I did, she said, oh, Shane, we need to talk. I'm not going to do Arbonne anymore. And you know what, guys? She had a lot of life going on, and it's okay. I love that woman. She is still my upline, and I beg her to, I'm like, stick with it. I'll help you build more legs. Like, she's just so fabulous. But you know what? She had a lot of life. She had cancer going on and going through it. She had a lot of life, and she stepped away. And the area manager above her, she stepped away. And then I had a region, and she moved away. And we were still in contact, don't get me wrong. But you know what? It never once occurred to me if my business was dependent on them staying. When I tell you it wasn't even a thought, I think back now and I'm like, I was probably a little bit touched in the head. I don't know why I never thought of it, but it was maybe because I was an entrepreneur. It was never a thought to me. Whether they stayed, they went, they gave me tools, they didn't. It didn't matter. It was irrelevant. It was my life, and I was growing this with or without them. The same with every one of my team members. And you guys, I love my team. Like, I bleed for them. I love my team. But you know what? When they quit on their dreams, it doesn't mean that I do. And I want you to remember that. And then the last thing, somebody said something to me the other day, and I thought it was brilliant. He's somebody I met a couple of years ago, and he's just an amazing man, young man. And we were talking about, he's starting a coaching program, and he used the word, instead of saying discipline, he said devotion. And I thought, what a game changer. I told you I'm going to flip some words for you. Words are powerful, you guys, right? Words are really powerful. Words make you feel something, right? When I say the word sad or hard or overwhelmed to you, that has an energy. When I say the word challenge, overcome, champion, rise up, that has a feel to it. So I was probably one of the most undisciplined people you have ever met, and it is still a challenge for me to this day. But when you become devoted to something, all of a sudden it doesn't feel like it's a discipline. I'm now devoted to the way I eat. I'm not disciplined, I'm devoted. I'm devoted to my health and my vitality. I'm devoted to my mind. I read books like crazy. You know why? They changed my life. And sometimes I'll have people say, "Oh God, Shane, you're such a good reader." And I'm like, no, no, no. I don't think I read any faster than anybody else. I'm just devoted. Like if it's 2 in the morning and I'm exhausted, I get in bed and I still read. I'm devoted to it because I love what it's done for me. I love where I'm growing, and I can't grow there without the devotion. So I want you guys, when you get off this call tonight, I don't like to end a call and not give you something to take home with you. I would like you to write down 3 to 5 things that you're devoted to. And I want you to think about when you're devoted to something, the emotion that's attached to that instead of saying, I'm disciplined to that, right? I'm not disciplined to taking care of my kids. I'm devoted. And God help the person that messes with it. That's devotion. Devotion is don't get in my way because I will run you over, right? That sounds different than discipline. Discipline sounds like a structure and a punishment. When you're devoted, it's out of passion and love and fire. So, guys, I want you to understand from that girl that first heard about this Arbonne business in that dining room and went district and had some extra money for horseback riding, right? For her girls. Then went, and it took me 4.5 years to go to area. Okay, I am the girl that has the long journey, not the quick one. I was 9.5 years to region, and I was 13.5 to nation. And when I went, I wasn't a nation, I was an ENVP because somebody that I brought into the business promoted before me. What an honor and a blessing. It's worth it. It's worth it. Because now, when my 84-year-old mom needs help with her meds, I'm here. One of her medicines is $28,000 a month, and it takes at least 5 phone calls every month for me to get it for her. And I've had to fight, and I've had to get grants, and I've had to do one month it was 8.5 hours I was on phone calls. I can do that because I said yes to this business, and I love people, and I worked hard, and I didn't quit. My 93-year-old dad, I'm shocked he hasn't come out yet. He loves to come out when I'm on calls with his hair all crazy or like, right? He's adorable. My 93-year-old dad, he has a comfortable place to finish the rest of his days. And I'm here all day long with him because I didn't give up. It's so worth it. And you are all so worth it. And your families are so worth it. So please lean into the learning, accept the challenge, and don't quit. But don't quit doesn't mean sit on your butt either. Okay? People say you'll win as long as you don't quit. No, that's horsepower. Knowledge isn't power, it's potential power. You have to marry it with action. So keep growing and keep going because it's so worth it. I hope that's okay, Paul. It was off the cuff. I didn't write anything.
I'm like about to cry. Like you're, thank you so much, Shane. Oh my gosh. You just, that was incredible. I know everybody that's listening to this and that's going to listen to it because we put it in our team Facebook group is just going to get so much out of it. And you really made me think because this month I've been on the phone for so many hours to help my daughter get her diabetes medications switched over. And it has been so hard, but you know what? And then I know everybody on this call, probably almost everybody has heard me complain about it, but I need to switch that to, I get to do that.
It wasn't hard. It was challenging. And you rose to the challenge, didn't you?
That's
you rose to the challenge.
You're right. And man, yes. But does anybody really quickly, because we're a little bit over, but does anybody have a quick question for Shane?
I do. For all the books you read, because you love to read, what are some of your faves, some of those recommendations? Yeah, we love to read.
Oh my God. Okay, I got only about 800 of them, so get your pen and paper ready. No, just kidding. There are so many, so many that I just like. Sometimes I'll hear them and I'll go, yes, that one. Okay, so right now I have my team rereading Mindset with every quote for you by Carol Dweck. Mindset is a book that I think should be mandatory reading for every school teacher and every parent. Like it's that important a book. It's about having a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. But you got to read it and put it into action, right? So that is definitely one.
By
Think and
Carol,
Grow Rich.
sorry.
That's okay.
Mindset by who?
Carol Dweck. Carol Dweck. DWE. I can't remember if it's CK or just K.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'll tell you a fun read that is, again, all about mindset, all about being adaptable is Everything is Figure Outable by Marie Forleo.
I just heard about that one too.
That's a
That's great.
super, super fun one. We loved it so much as a team that my next challenge I did with everybody that earned it, I got them a little plaque that said everything is figure outable. A really good one. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That's like one of the Bibles of our business, right? Same with How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Some of these books are classics because they're classics, right? And then I can tell you the books that I read when I went to certain levels in my business. So going, I want to say it was going area. I had a switch that flipped when I read Soul Print by Mark Batterson. It's when I really got that. Before that, this business for me was a business because I have an entrepreneur mindset being self-employed. I was like, this is a business, right? And I always loved people, don't get me wrong, but that book had me see that this was more than a business, that this was going to be how God uses me, that it was going to be part of my purpose, like a major part of my purpose on this earth. Then going region, I read Chase the Lion by Mark Batterson. Something about that dang Mark Batterson, he gets me. That was an amazing book. And then my Going Nation, glad the cough held off a little bit. My Going Nation book was The Last Arrow by Erwin McManus.
Read that. Yeah, so good.
That was a really good book. And then I think everybody needs to read The Miracle Morning. I mean, Hal Elrod is speaking for us this month, but I've been doing his savers for years because discipline was something I really struggled with, right? I've devoted myself to that morning. And I'll just give you a couple of quick tips if you guys want structural tips.
Yeah,
Stop touching this when you wake up. Leave this alone. Stop it. I get up, I turn it on my way to the bathroom to see if there's a text from my mom because she's elderly and lives on her own. If there's no text from her, I put the phone back down. I am deciding what goes into my brain in the morning, not that. The second you start with those notifications, you don't know what you're getting. You don't know. I don't have any news apps. I highly recommend avoiding the news like plague. Yes, I vote. Yes, I do my research before I vote. I do all those things. You can do it without the news, guys. Right? I don't care what side you're listening to, both garbage. And it's both just incite fear and anger. And it is not serving human beings. So I have no news apps. But even going on Facebook, I might see something sad. I mean, right? And if you have something that's confrontational or conflict, it takes you hours to undo a 10-minute argument. It takes you hours to get rid of the cortisol, the negative vibe. Like, don't ask for it. So I don't pick up that phone and look at anything. I get up, I do my routine, I read, I do all the things. We walk our dog, and then I look at my phone. There's no emergencies in Arbonne. My God, somebody didn't order their face wash. I think they'll live, right? Like, I think they'll make it. We're not EMTs missing a call. It's really okay. So I would say, be disciplined about your morning. Same at night. I don't bring my phone to bed. It's in a like a room next to my bedroom. You don't want the electro frequency, magnetic frequencies. You don't want that. And you don't want it to be your master. Decide to be your own master. It makes such a difference. Like getting your head right and having a devotion to you. Again, discipline versus devotion. I'm devoted to me in my mind because I'm devoted to my family. So I have to be devoted to these things to make the things happen I want to have happen. And so do you. There's nothing extraordinary about me. Trust me. Like I am a normal hot mess.
I beg to differ, but okay, Shane.
Oh no,
Thank you for those book
I am.
recommendations. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope I gave you something you haven't read yet. I mean, I could send you a whole list, but
That's so amazing. You guys, I know we need to let you go, but I have to tell y'all that and Shane, I know you're going to be like, "Ah, don't say that," but I have to tell y'all this because it is just who she is. And obviously you guys have probably seen that already. I asked her for her address because I always send a little
stop
packet
it.
to our speakers. And she said, no, I do this out of love. Absolutely not. And I mean, that's why I love you so much. You're so giving. Thank you so much for doing this. You have no ties to us, I don't think. And you just gave us your time. And that is one of the most precious things you can give to someone. So I know everybody's grateful. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Love you so much. Thank you for your time.
You
It was
guys, you have an
amazing.
amazing leader, Polly. I just have to brag on her for a minute. She is a rock star. She is somebody that I'm like, that girl knows how to overcome hard.
Aw, thank you
Like,
so
I
much.
can't tell you how much I respect you and all that you have done. Like, you are an amazing example to follow.
Thank you.
I would follow you.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna cry. So let's stop before I start
I mean
crying.
it.
Thank you. Love you so much. Thank you guys for being on.
Thank you,
And
Shane. Thanks,
this was
Polly.
Love you. You're
incredible.
so
All right.
welcome. It was my pleasure. Good night, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, Shane. Bye,
Bye.
y'all.
Bye.